unshakable spirit. And today's story is number 19. The window frame hurts too. A winsome mother and child. This happened once when I was riding a train on my way to give a speech. The car interior was spacious and quiet, with many unfilled seats. Feeling relaxed, I spread myself out and opened up a book I'd brought along. After a while, tired from reading and lulled by the rhythmical vibrations of the train, I began to nod off, only for my dreams to be shattered by an ear-splitting whistle and the metallic screech of brakes. Apparently, the driver had found an obstruction of some kind at a crossing. The shock of the sudden stop threw me forward, but I managed somehow to stay upright. In the same instant, the shrill sobs of a little child rang out. I saw then that the seats across the aisle in front of me were occupied by a young mother and her child, who had apparently been amusing himself by sitting with his forehead pressed against the window pane, watching the scenery fly by. When the train jerked to a stop, the tot's head banged sharply into the window frame. His wails grew louder and more frantic. Afraid he was hurt, I jumped up, but to my relief, there was no sign of injury. Then I witnessed a scene so heartwarming that I was deeply touched. As the child's pain lessened, he gradually quieted down while his mother rubbed his head reassuringly and murmured soothing words. Sweetheart, that must really hurt. I'm so sorry. I'll rub it for you and make the pain go away. But you weren't the only one who got hurt. The poor window frame did too. Let's rub it and make it feel better, shall we? The tot nodded, and sure enough, he and his mother together began to pat the window frame. I felt ashamed of myself, for I had assumed she would say something more on these lines. That must really hurt. I'm so sorry. It's all the fault of this naughty window frame. Let's spank it and teach it a lesson, shall we? Such a scene is common enough, giving a toddler a vent for his rage and allowing the moment to pass. All too often, when faced with difficulties, we cope by searching for someone else to blame for our suffering. Perhaps, I reflected, we parents implant this response in our children without meaning to. The child is father of the man, goes the saying, and surely parents have enormous influence in shaping the character of small children. People who think only of themselves and cannot empathize with others end in the darkness. The act of making others happy itself brings happiness. Those who would set their sights on nirvana must keep to the high road of benefiting others as well as themselves. I left the train wishing true happiness to that mother and child with all my heart. Okay, very good. This is one of the most popular stories in this book. Very heartwarming um, story that teaches us the spirit of Buddhism, which is benefiting myself by benefiting others, known as Jiri Rita in Japanese. Um, yeah. So our instinct dictates that we just preserve our own benefits and only think about me, myself, my possessions. But that's why we suffer so much, according to the Buddha. If we only think of ourselves and cannot empathize with others, if we don't show empathy, we don't cultivate compassion, we end up in the darkness. That means we will suffer tremendously. So all we have to do is switch it the other way around and benefit others, think about others, why other people suffer too. And by doing that, we ourselves will begin to suffer less, because believe it or not, a lot of our sufferings is the construct of our mind. When we were children, we would easily forget about our sufferings, but as we grow older, don't we hold on to things and ruminate and make ourselves unhappy? So if we realize the power of the mind, we need to get outside of ourselves and reach out to others and show concern for the hardships they are going through as well, not just our hardships. And in this way, mysteriously, our suffering goes down. So this was depicted in the story by the mother who told her son, "Oh, let's rob the window frame too. It must be hurt too. It's action reaction, right? It's equal amount of the action, the reaction occurs." So if we can put ourselves in the other's shoes and show empathy, a big, huge path opens up for each one of us, and we can all experience the happiness that holds us fast, never to abandon us, and ultimately the lotus of enlightenment will bloom in our hearts. So good job, everyone, and have a wonderful Tuesday. Bye.